I was already in my late 40s by the time my boys decided to play high school football for their homeschool football league. That means that I was deeply engaged in the process for them. And in my late 40s, I would get up with them and run sometimes 3 miles a day, 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah, we worked really hard to get in shape and to stay in shape. And if we weren't in the gym, we had the total gym out back. We had the punching bag out back. We had the heavy bag out back. And we would pick that thing up and carry it 50 yards. We would punch on the bag for 1 minute to wear ourselves out. And as an old dude, almost 50, that was quite a workout for me. But it was really hard to tell my two sons, my homeschooled sons, go out there and work out, and I'll watch. How many of you serve a leader, work with a leader, or on the team of a leader who would rather sit back and watch you do the hard work than to participate with you in the work that's got to be done? That's what I want to talk about today on Leading Leaders. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders podcast. And if you've ever been a leader, whether it's, again, in a family, it's in a small organization or a large organization, there's going to be a time that you're going to be asked to do a job that you don't want to do. Maybe it's disgusting, maybe it's difficult, maybe it's the really hard work, the emotional work. The grow up, put on your big boy pants or your big girl panties and charge into the emotional hard work of asking yourself, what have I done wrong and what could I do differently? See, that's the part of leadership that everyone takes for granted. They assume it has already happened. Everybody believes that by the time you're a leader, you got all your stuff worked out. You got no more issues to deal with. You don't make mistakes anymore. Otherwise, you wouldn't be the leader, right? Wrong. And most people who are leaders have found themselves in a place where they're responsible for guiding the direction of, providing vision for, providing supervision for a group of people, large or small group of people. They're responsible for the outcome of this team. And many of those leaders have found themselves in that place, honestly, looking in the mirror, a little bit stunned, going, how did that happen? How did I get here? What did I do to deserve this? Oh yeah, we all struggle as leaders with, do I have the right to lead at the level that I lead? Am I really good enough? Am I really qualified? They call it the imposter syndrome. And I don't know anybody who's not a narcissist who doesn't struggle with that just a little bit. And in some ways, that's a good thing. I think it's a psychological trigger in the human mind that makes us ask the question, am I doing it right? Could I do it better? How could I improve me? How could I improve the relationships that I have? How could I be a better leader, providing insight for the team that I lead? But there are those people who just feel like because I got the appointment to this position, or I've got the seniority, I've been given this position, because I'm older, or I've been on the job longer, or I have a higher degree level, because of those things, I'm in charge. And that means you should do what I tell you to, even if I'm not willing to do what I'm telling you to do. See, in the military, especially in the Air Force, as an example, I was in the civil engineering squadron as a firefighter. And in the civil engineering squadron, there are a lot of officers and a lot of enlisted people. But in the fire department, there are no officers. In the fire department, from the very bottom to the actual fire chief, which may be a civilian or may be an enlisted man, in the fire department, there is no officer. The first commanding officer that we have is the squadron commander, who's usually a captain, a major, or higher. And so we don't have officers with us on a daily basis. Part of that means, as firefighters in the Air Force, we had a command structure that was all enlisted, but also very ranked based on seniority, time in service, time in grade, and our experience. So education played a big part in that. It also means that because we're specialized, kind of like a doctor might be or something of that nature, the time in the job was almost as important as the skill level that we possessed on the things that we knew. Which means when the fire department people stepped outside of that, there were people who had a higher rank, but way less knowledge in what we do. There were pilots that we dealt with who were lieutenants or captains, some of them what we would call the butter bars. The very first time they're in the military, they came right out of college, went to flight school, got their officer's commission, now they're in an airplane, and they feel like, well, I'm the officer, and you're going to do what I tell you to. Well, I understand that from a rank standpoint, but do you know what we need to know to save your life? Can you follow the instructions that were given you to get you out of that aircraft? If you're completely unconscious, realize we're going to handle you in a different way than we would just because of your rank. See, those are the kinds of things that they come into play when you realize that just because you have the position, the authority, the rank, doesn't necessarily mean you're the leader just yet. One other thing that comes into play is the fact that some people are not willing to do the hard work of becoming the kind of person that others want to follow. Or they have ego issues, or they have self-esteem issues, and it's really hard to follow a leader who has no confidence. It's hard to follow a leader who's unwilling to say, I made a mistake. I need to do that better. I need to do that differently. Give me some help with that. It's hard to follow a leader who's unwilling to be the kind of person that you want to follow. Because leading isn't just about having the title and the position. It's about being that kind of person. That takes a certain level of awareness. That takes a certain level of humility to be able to say, okay, maybe I said that wrong. Maybe it came out wrong. I'm sorry if that offended you. Tell me how I can say it differently so that we can get the same results but not be offensive. There are a lot of leaders who just simply put their foot down and they're like, you do what I told you to because I'm the leader and you will do what I told you to. Well, that's tyrant-like. That's dictator-like. That's, well, maybe management, but it's not leadership. Leadership is a partnership. Leadership takes authority and it holds accountable the people that they lead, but leadership also says, we're in this together. How can I improve along with you? How can I be better? If you're not willing to do the hard work of self-evaluation, of self-improvement, of how do I get better at what I do? How do I listen better? How do I communicate better? How do I make better decisions? How do I bring a team around me that allows me to have all the information that I need so I'm not making decisions on my own? Maybe you've been a part of a team where the leader just makes decisions and they don't have to deal with the ramifications of the decision. They don't have to walk out the work that has to be done to make that decision be implemented. They don't have to deal with the consequences of living out that decision. They don't have to actually ever see that decision in play. I worked in places where the instructions were take that thing and put it in that spot. In fact, I recently had a client who told me, you have X amount of space to work with. What she said was, you get 2.5 feet behind the stage. And I said, well, that's fine, but what you've asked us to do, install this video screen in the place that you want it, requires that we have 4 feet behind the stage because that's what the lift requires to hold up the amount of screen you've asked for. She said, you don't understand what I'm telling you. You have 2.5 feet. And I said, I do understand what you're telling me. I understand that your desire is that it be 2.5 feet from the wall. What I'm telling you is, if we put the foot down, it's either going to go out of the wall or it's going to be 4 feet from the wall. There's no way to put a steel 4.5 foot stanchion on the ground with less than 4 feet. Can't be done. Her style of leadership as the client was, well, tell me how much it's going to cost. I want to make sure that you get it done. I don't care about your excuses, just make it happen. And I said, look, we can argue about this all day. There's no amount of money that changes the laws of physics. Physics tell me that I need 9 feet total in order for that stand to stand up. She said, well, can't you fold the legs up? I said, sure you could. Get your checkbook out, though, because that's $40,000 worth of screen that's going to fall on the floor. And it's probably going to fall on someone. And it's probably going to tear something else up besides the screen because it weighs about 1,800 pounds. But if you're okay with all of that, we'll gladly fold the legs up. Finally, she came to me and said, look, you do what you got to do. I said, that's my intention, is to make it work. I'll make it work. I'll make it as aesthetic as I can. But your determination to make it work the way you want it to doesn't change the law of physics. If you've ever worked for the kind of leader who says, I just want you to get the outcome that I want, and I want you to do it my way, and I want you to do it with the right attitude, but they don't have any understanding of what the task looks like or how to perform the function, then you worked in the kind of place where your leader is not interested in personal growth. They're just interested in being in control. If you're that kind of leader, stop it. It's time to step up. It's time to get out there with the people who are actually doing the work and figure out what it takes to get the work done. Do the job for a while. Follow the instructions that you've written yourself for these other people and see how easy it is to do. Get into the grind with them and see what a day looks like. If you've got a sales manager who's never been a salesperson, they may be a great manager. That doesn't mean they're a good salesperson or that they understand the sales process. On the other hand, you often see sales people who are phenomenal salespeople who have zero leadership or management skills, and they get promoted and they can't do the job of management even though they were great in the job of sales. So just having a high skill level doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a competent manager or a competent leader. In the same way that having a management degree or a leadership degree, I don't care if you have a PhD in leadership, if you can't work well with people, then you're going to find that your ability to inspire them, your ability to lead them, your ability to get the performance out of them that you want, it's not coming. My challenge to you as a leader is to ask yourself, what could I do better? How could I grow up a little bit? What personal development do I need to work on? What do I need to be more aware of? Is it the way I talk to people? Is it the people I ask questions to? Is it the input that I receive before making a decision? What could I do to make me better so that I'm not only an example to the people of their own personal growth, what they should be doing in their life, what I expect of my team, but I can also be a better person to lead them in difficult times. If you're not willing to do the hard work, the emotional work, the deep personal introspection work to become aware and to become a better person, you will never be a better leader. And all of your success will only rise to the level, the lid of your leadership. Wherever your leadership fails, that's where your team will stop. Is it communication? Is it listening? Is it knowing, sympathizing, empathizing, knowing what's going on in their world? It's time for you to work on those things. Time for you to step up. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.